So I've got a pet peeve. That pet peeve is the fact that I am never able to record at my actual recording setup. I have a handheld camera propped up in a bowl held up by 3 different melons. And if you think I'm making that up, I'm not. Although I'm not quite sure, like, if they're melons. I think they're fake melons. I don't know. I found the bowl somewhere in this room, and then I've got my laptop right here, and that's how I'm recording. And my other pet peeve is I've run out of beachy shirts. My Florida man vibe while I'm down here for New Year's in the middle of the Caribbean somewhere, like, Johnny Depp wearing a bunch of makeup. I can't find another shirt that it really shows it off. So now I'm just in a long sleeve tee that matches my skin tone and goes with this lighting in such a way that you might have thought I was naked for a second. Maybe I'll make myself the thumbnail so that I can bait you in with my hunky bod or something. Right, both of those obviously pet peeves. But I will always find a way to prop up my handheld camera in a bowl full of melons to talk about this. Because this is my other pet peeve. Right, this kind of unrealistic expectations for humanity that comes about from being a fan of teams anywhere in the world. This just happened to pop up around Tottenham. And I'm going to preface this with I am aware of the fact that James Maddison's social media presence, especially his old tweets, has not always been spectacular. And I am not defending James Maddison's social media presence writ large. That is not what's happening here. I am discussing one particular response, as often happens here. We are getting in to the really intense minutia of shit. That's what's happening here. That's what we're doing here. Really intense minutia of stuff. And the minutia has to do with Spurs. I mean, Tottenham's had a bad year. Okay, obviously James Maddison's a part of Tottenham. They've been playing poorly. Their defense is terrible. Right, they give up dumb goals. They're playing in the most Tottenham way possible. Ange Postecoglou's probably pulling his head out. Well, his hair out, but if he does that enough, maybe. It is a interesting situation because a lot of people generally acknowledge that Ange has done a pretty good job. I saw one tweet that said, I used to be hard on Ange Postecoglou, then I watched Tottenham play, and I believe that he should be able to publicly execute one player per match. Obviously, there's probably a more modern solution to that problem, but the point being that it seems to be a collection of individual errors, and it's the sort of poor performances based off of individual failures that can drive a fan base crazy. And in particular, the account that has gone crazy is Talk THFC. And this is on Twitter, and this sort of stuff happens all the time. They have quoted a James Maddison response and said, "Pathetic" from Maddison, simply pathetic. But you'll never guess I'm taking an issue with what they're calling pathetic. James Maddison, in all of his infinite stupidity and double middle fingers to the club, has decided to go take in some darts. He went to watch the darts. My perpetual question in these situations, right, is what are they supposed to do? It's like players don't exist as human beings. You know what I mean? It's like they're not even real. Like they leave the field and somebody just locks them up in a locker like the Prestige and just stores them in a warehouse and then they just unfreeze them for the next game. No, these guys go home. They have wives. They have kids. Right? Some of them have neither. If they're Jack Grealish, they got a party waiting for them somewhere, which, shout out, brother, you've got more trophies than most players can ever dream of. Even if you didn't score this year, head high, you still have a great head of hair. Right? They've got, they go eat food. Maybe they're wealthy enough to have a chef cook for them, but they go home, they eat, they play some video games if they're Jadon Sancho, right? They watch some TV. They go to sleep. They do normal human being things, which is hard for us to process. Right? The idea that James Maddison would play a Premier League match and then go home and then do the same thing the rest of us do and just kind of go, I got a couple hours off. What the fuck am I going to do with that? Right? Like, they're doing the same thing. Right? They're getting texts from their family members. They're like, I should respond to that. And then they forget about it for 2 days. Right? They have all of these different things happening. As much as I have talked about in other videos that they have stresses that we couldn't imagine, like the Paul Pogba situation and the pressure your family and your friends can put on you. At some of the other times, they're just really normal people. So even though Tottenham is not playing particularly well, like, James Maddison can still go to stuff. He can still go do something. It shouldn't be illegal for him to go do something. But upon further inspection, THFC here is not mad at that. Right, an account called Spursy News responded to a post with James Maddison at the darts. The account said, "You taking the piss, the form we're in, and you go to the darts? Unacceptable." Right, and so that person is doing that, right? These people exist, right? If you're playing well, then you can see players out in public. If your club's not playing well, then those players are not allowed to go in public. They'd be shopping at Tesco. Oh, what do you do? Shopping at Tesco? You should be training. 10,000 free kicks a day, right? Man, if you did 10,000 free kicks a day, maybe you'd be in his position instead of him and you'd be able to help your team win. But you didn't do that because, like most of us, you were lazy. And that's fine. I'm lazy too. Right? But these are the few people that actually put in the work to be able to get to that point. And if he wants to go enjoy being famous and watch the darts, fuck it, let him do it. But that's what this Spursy News account is upset by. James Maddison, though, responds to this. He goes, "Shut up, you Wally." And that response is apparently what Talk THFC is upset by. And this tweet has 14,000 likes. Now, I realize 90% of those are bots, and the dead internet theory is real. But there are eyeballs and discussion going on around this person who didn't make it abundantly clear, by the way, that they were upset initially by the fact that it was James Maddison saying "shut up" that they were upset about, and not the fact that he went to the darts. That might have been an excellent recovery skill. Like, oh, we're getting roasted a little bit here. We need to pivot, like Ross Geller in a stairwell. But like, if you come in and you say pathetic for Maddison, simply pathetic, are you not doing the same thing James Maddison just did? Because as a human being, you have certain unalienable rights. Life, liberty, the ability to tell somebody to shut up, right? Those are on the stone, chiseled in. Rights that you have as a human being. If you think somebody's being annoying, if you think they're saying something stupid, which this person is, what's wrong with telling him to shut up? He didn't tell him he didn't tell him off in a way that was unacceptable. He didn't say anything heinous. He didn't say anything below the belt. Granted, I'm not British, so I don't know what Wally means. I would assume it just refers to some disgusting food that involves beans. But, just saying "shut up, you whatever," right? Unless that whatever is particularly heinous, this is like the most natural human response you could possibly have. This is humanizing. I actually love it when players do this. I love it when players do this. This is awesome. When obviously there's a lot going on in Mykhailo Mudrik's world right now, but when that guy messaged him that he couldn't dribble by anybody, and he responded, "Well, you come out to a field, I'll dribble by you all you want. If you stout me one time, I'll give you $100,000. That's hilarious, right? And that brings these types of people right back into reality, which is what is needed. Because people like Spursy News here, Talk THFC, they're not living in reality, right? What they're saying doesn't make any sense within the laws of social interaction and human nature. Okay, James Maddison did something. He enjoyed his life, which is a good life, even if Tottenham's not playing well. Which, him going to the darts doesn't mean he's not doing everything humanly possible to win for Tottenham. Right? Not everybody's Ronaldo or Erling Haaland and locking themselves in a cryogenic chamber 10 hours a day. This has been readily discussed. But when he's playing for Tottenham, there has been no suggestion that James Maddison is not giving his absolute most to Ange Postecoglou, to the club, to the supporters, to try to win matches. They're just getting grabbed by the ghost of Tottenham's Christmas past. Okay, but Maddison, enjoying the fact that he is wealthy, young, and famous, goes to the darts. I think it's the World Championships, although being American, I have no idea what's going on right now. Although there was an American that got through the first round. So shout out to that guy. He goes, he enjoys that. And he's got a bunch of people in his comments. I'm sure Spursy News wasn't the only one saying, "How dare you enjoy yourself, while Spurs is not doing well." I'm sorry, Spursy News, Talk THFC. Are you enjoying yourself? Are you doing anything in public, outside? Are you having fun? Are you, going to the movie theater? Are you going to, a local match? Are you watching the darts? Because if you are you doing everything you can to help Tottenham Hotspur win? Like, come on. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I want more players to be able to respond like this. Not get roasted for responding like a human being. Do we want to turn all players into robots? Every time they lose a match, their PR team, either the club's PR team or their individual PR team crafts a wonderful post, a picture of them going, and then a post about how they need to be better, right? And it's just freaking Christmas pictures on their timeline, or a picture of them with their leg muscle bulging in training, right? Is that all we want footballers' social medias to be? No, the core point of social media, and what made things like Twitter cool before they weren't and before they sucked, was that you had direct access to these people, that you were interested in knowing what they were like as people. Well, James Maddison, who seems to be, at least he was a long time ago when, Twitter and that sort of thing was more free and exposed him as kind of a dick. People can change. I don't know if he's, has those thought processes anymore. If you don't know what I'm talking about, fair enough. Google James Maddison tweets. But this is just solid human being behavior that is fine. Nobody should have an issue with this. You should be mad what James Maddison does on the pitch, because that is your right as a fan, and I will defend you for that. Okay? But unless he's like burning a Tottenham shirt or wearing a rival's shirt or dapping up a rival player in public or something that he's not international teammates with, I don't get this and never have.